Hi everybody, Robin again, and this time we're going to be talking about what my decluttering my mind project for week number 2 is. And it's kind of funny. I sort of thought that I was going to do a lot of little projects. I had thought a lot about this 6 months and what it might look like because there's a lot of weeks in 6 months. So I thought about, writing a letter to a few people about what they've meant to me, or just making sure everything's okay. Just dealing with a few small things, I guess, and then maybe working up to some larger things. But it turns out that I have an opportunity to work on a larger thing now, so I'm going to do it. There is a wonderful couple at my church who are awesome, and they it's a grief recovery program kind of thing. And I've heard that they've done it several times, and I've heard great things about it. But I guess I was sort of thinking that grief is really about death. And although I've had a lot of losses in that area, both my parents are dead, and I've lost a son, and I've had some miscarriages, and my beloved my grandma, has passed away, and just a lot of people in my family have died, and people that are important to me. So, but I feel like I've kind of dealt with it. I mean, not I think grief, you don't get over it, and time does not heal all wounds. You just learn to live with it, and hopefully in a healthy way. And I feel like I've done that on the death side of things. So I really didn't think that the grief recovery thing was probably going to be something that I do, simply because I thought it was more about death. And then I heard somebody who had gone through the program and just felt like it was kind of riveting to talk about how we hold on to grief about all sorts of things. And some of them are positive. Some of them are even positive changes, like getting married, or getting hired for a new job, kind of things. And so I decided to go to the informational meeting on Tuesday, just to kind of see if it was a good fit. And one of the first things they do is they handed out this questionnaire, and I'm just going to read a few of the questions, because what they're kind of stating here is: our time-proven method is based in part on helping grievers create a new level of awareness. Part of that process is helping you to better understand all of the different life experiences that produce grief. So, aside from death, did you move more than twice before the age of 10? Have you experienced a major change in financial conditions, either positive or negative? Have you ever quit a job or been fired? Have you ever been married or divorced? Did you graduate from high school, from college? Have you experienced the death of a close family member? Were you physically abused during childhood or as an adult? Were you sexually abused during childhood or as an adult? Have you ever been involved with a miscarriage, stillbirth, or abortion? Do you have a strained or painful relationship with a living parent, spouse, or friend, etc.? Have you ever experienced the loss of the use or function of any part of your body? Are there long stretches of your childhood that you cannot remember? Have you experienced a series of illnesses or accidents? Have you been involved in unsuccessful relationships? Are your parents divorced? Blah, 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 blah. So those are some of the questions, and I'm like, I think I've checked a couple of those boxes. And it says after that list, these questions are only a partial list of the possible losses we can experience. If you answered yes to any of the above questions, there is a strong probability that you were also indoctrinated with a whole host of misinformation about dealing with the pain caused by loss. So, like you're supposed to bury your feelings, or time heals all wounds, or you should be strong, or keep busy, or whatever. So that's kind of what it's called, the grief recovery method. And they have a little handbook, which I got because I'm going to do the class. Can you see that? And like I said, I've talked to several people who have gone through it, and it's been kind of riveting. So I do have, like I said, on the checklist is 20 things on it. 20. And there are 3 no's and 17 yeses for me. So apparently apparently I got some stuff that I didn't even know I had. But one of the things that it talks about that grief can manifest in is like lack of concentration, lack of organization. Just saying, we're dealing with a little bit of that. And it can be the loss of hopes and dreams too, and not an expectation. So unfulfilled expectations. So it's not necessarily big stuff like, the loss of your spouse. Obviously that's going to produce grief, but the loss of expectation, I thought I was going to be a whatever and I'm a something else, or whatever it is, can also produce those feelings. And I thought, well, heck, here I am trying to clear out the mind. And I think that this might be just really a good way to see maybe what's in there that needs to be cleaned out. When I looked at that, I kind of, like I said, the lady who runs it and her husband are friends of mine from church. And I actually had to kind of say, what happens if you checked all the boxes or most of the boxes? Am I going to need to go through this 14,000 times? And she said, no, it's it's an 8-week course total. And you just learn the skills to kind of recognize what your kind of manifestation of grief is, whether it is the concentration issues or the some people it manifests in anger, some people it manifests in sadness, some people it's not sleeping well or lack of concentration. So anyway, once I learned the principles of how to recognize what's grief and what's not, then apparently I'll be able to apply them to all these things. And the end result, I'm hoping, is going to be that I will have better concentration and I will have kind of let go of some of the expectations that I have for some things in my life that didn't quite go as I was expecting. And that's not to say, and this is the other thing about going, I felt almost weird because generally I'm pretty happy. And I don't want to minimize people. I felt like I was almost condescending to those who are really, and there's some people who are going through some tough stuff. Loss of spouses and divorces and children dying recently and other things. So I felt like, if I want to work on something that is less than that I was almost kind of minimizing their pain or something. I don't know what I thought. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be disrespectful. But the reality is that whether our grief is big or small and whether it's from something really massive, the loss of somebody, the death of somebody, really important to us, or just relatively quote-unquote minor, the loss of an expectation or something, then it's still real to us, and it still is grief, and it still would be helpful to deal with it. So, and I'm also a big proponent of you cannot teach what you do not know. And I've got a mix of adopted and biological kids with varying levels of issues and griefs of their own. And so I thought, partially for me, totally personally for me, I'd love to go through this, but also it may help me to get some skills to help my kids navigate some of the bigger griefs in their life. So that's what I'm doing. That is my week 2 thing. I started on Tuesday. It goes for 7 more weeks every Tuesday. So if there's something that I think that might be helpful to share. I don't know how personal it actually is yet. I'm not really into what the crux of it is, but if it's helpful, I'll certainly share it. But if you have one of those things that was listed, it's like a national program, and they're certified grief recovery specialist people who lead these kind of 8-week sessions, and you might be able to find one in your area. So, and just if you want the book, it's called the Grief Recovery Handbook, and it is written by John W. James and Russell Friedman. So if you want to take a look, maybe that'd be helpful to you. So that's what I'm doing. Week number 2, 6 months to me. I'm going to get this area right between here cleared out a little bit, I think. All right. Hope you guys have a good week. God bless.